a go-kart steering wheel. Racing seats, racing buckets. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. This is a little side project. I've been hired to do the replace the head gaskets on it. It's a 74 Javelin made by AMC. I believe it's a AMC 360 engine. And the problem was, you saw it running there. It runs fine, but the driver's side head gasket leaks out the side of the block once it heats up. At least cooling out, but none's going into any of the cylinders or the crankcase, so that's good. So I started taking the exhaust manifold bolts out on this side. This side I already did off camera. Moves down out of the way, I can get the head bolts. This side I got one bolt that's kind of tight. All the rest are ready to come out, are already out. Once that's done, I'll take power steering and a distributor out, and then I can start with the intake. And then we can see what's going on in there. Also, I forgot to mention before, yes, this is a 74 AMC Javelin, but and sometime in the past somebody's bolted a 68 Javelin front end onto it, so it's not the correct front end for the car, but whatever. See, the door gap's kind of funky, but anyhow, just before anybody says anything, yes, it's a 74, just with the wrong front end. Both exhaust manifold bolts are undone. They're just laying down there. Lots of room to get the head bolts. So I guess next I'll get the coolant drained. Whatever's left in there that hasn't leaked out. Oh. this thing turn still. Oh, it does. Okay. Seems to be draining very quick. Maybe there isn't anything in it. Who knows? Let her drain. Let's see if we can open it a bit more. There we go. Just took it right out. Oh, it was plugged. Well, that'd be why. Okay, I'll let her drain and I'll see what else I can get done tonight. Alright, so the coolant's been drained. Got all that was in it. It's nice and clean. I'll save it for something else because this car will be getting new coolant. But I guess now we can start unhooking the hoses. Get the distributor out of the way. I went ahead and marked where number 1 wire is. Not a very bad idea to do that. Wires are disconnected on both sides. So next I'll take the cap off and see where the rotor is pointing before I pull the distributor. It's just a GM style distributor. It's got the little window in it for setting the points. That looks fairly new, doesn't look too bad. And it doesn't have a point style distributor. Or if it did, it's been converted. It is a 74, I don't know what year they started putting electronic ignition in. But yeah, it's just a GM cap. Crane cams. It has some aftermarket module in there. So we basically want to remember that's pointing right at this hose. Well, basically right here. That'd be good enough for a ballpark when we put it back in. As long as we don't spin the engine over, which I do not plan on doing. Well, let's part. Okay, so next, let's see here, find the wiring harness for it, and then looks like a 9/16 bolt there with a clamp pull down. Okay, so upper rad hoses are off, distributor's undone, just put some reference marks on it for when I reinstall it. Wires are unhooked. So as long as it's not seized in the block, it should be able to pop out of there. Oh yeah, there she comes. Just like that. Clean it up a little bit. Now it's out. First glance, the gear looks okay. Perfect. So I'm going to plug that hole up. See, it just has a flat, if you can even see in there, has a flat drive for the oil pump. So I guess next I'm going to plug that hole up and put this clamp back in its spot just so I don't lose it. Should I plug the hole first? Okay, so upper rad hoses are off. Distributor's undone. Just put some reference marks on it for when I reinstall it. Wires are unhooked. So as long as it's not seized in the block, it should be able to pop out of there. Oh yeah, there she comes. Just like that. Clean it up a little bit. Now it's out. First glance, the gear looks okay. Perfect. So I'm going to plug that hole up. See, it just has a flat, if you can even see in there, has a flat drive for the oil pump. So I guess next I'm going to plug that hole up and put this clamp back in its spot just so I don't lose it. Should I plug the hole first? Alright, so I got a little bit more undone. Get in there. And after a closer look, I found out why the head gasket was leaking. You can get down in here. I don't even know if you can see it. Right there. It's supposed to be ahead of a bolt there. It snapped right off. And it has been for a long time, and that's exactly where it's been leaking. So we found the problem. I'm going to have to try to get that out. Once it's all apart, it shouldn't be a problem at all. Done it before. But I'm going to continue on here. So according to the VIN number in this car, this engine's would have been a 360 with a 2-barrel. Obviously you can see it's been upgraded to a 4-barrel at one point in time. Got a Holly Street Dominator intake. Relatively new Edelbrock carburetor, which I'm going to pull off now. And after that, we'll get this intake loosened up and see how we're looking down there in the valley. So we don't want to lose our bolts. Put them in the battery tray for now. And once I get the carburetor off, I will put them back in their spots. Now, I had already come through here and loosened these off before filming this, so they weren't loose. That was me. That one's out. And that one's out. It has extra washers on it for some reason. Oh, because it's longer than the others. Okay. No big deal. I will note that. Oh, also, if any of you noticed in the video when this was running that the factory heat gauge was spiked all the way to hot, it's because this is your gauge sending unit for the factory gauge. Well, the spring was in here, totally grounding it out. So that's what made it spike. So that shouldn't be on there anyway, but take that off. Pop that out. That's off. That thing should just fall right off because it's not on properly. Yep. Should be able to lift this right off here now. what that was. Oh, hang on. Alright, bring this over. Set her down on the workbench. Okay, so all the bolts are out of the intake. Most of them I had to use a wrench because I didn't have my 9/16 swivel socket here. It's at work, but whatever. They all came out pretty easy. They're all relatively new stainless steel bolts anyway. This thing fell off. What is it? Well, that's kind of half-assed, isn't it? Anyway. Okay, well, we'll address that later. Anyhow, I'm gonna pull this intake off and see what's hiding underneath. Okay, so there's a valley pan in here. It's kind of grungy. That looks like sludge. Well, let's see if we can get this pan off. See what she looks like down in the valley. I do have a brand new one of these to go back in. Okay, should come right out now. Of course, this oil gauge line is right in my way, so I have to take that off too, I think. Okay, well that's not half bad. That's not half bad at all, actually. I guess next to be the valve covers. Very clean under this valve cover too. This is actually really promising. I mean, the engine ran great aside from the coolant leak. So, yeah, I'll keep plugging away at it. It's starting to get a little bit late now, so I might have to continue on tomorrow, but anyhow. Alright, so it's actually been a little while here. The new head bolts from APR finally arrived, so I can continue on with this. So today I'm going to pull the rockers and the push rods and the heads off, and then see what I can do about getting that broken bolt out that's down there. See if any other bolts break on the way out too. Hopefully not. So I believe that's a 1/2 inch. Get these all loosened up and pulled off. I'll try and keep them in order too. It's always a good idea to put them back where they came from. But okay, I'm gonna get at this. Okay, so I've run into a bit of a problem here. This impact 5/8 socket won't fit between the casting and the bolt head, and it barely fits between these ones. So you know it doesn't really at all. And I don't know where my chrome thin wall socket is. So I'm going to try something else, which I doubt is going to work because of this Chinesium socket here. It'll probably break immediately, but you can see it fits on there. At least we're taking them off. If it doesn't break, I'll be really surprised, but I'll have to get a proper socket here to want to go over to put it back together. But let's see if we can snap that off or not. Okay, so I don't quite know how, but somehow that cheap Chinese socket survived, and I got all the head bolts out aside from the broken one. So I'm going to pop this head off now, see what kind of condition it's in, what kind of condition the cylinder walls are in, etc, etc, and then we'll see what we can do about getting that broken bolt out of there. Hopefully it's not too much hassle. I will be right back. Alright, so that's out of there. You can see that broken bolt right there. Cylinder walls are a bit glazed and there's a bit of a ring ridge, but it's not bad. It'll send. Not bad at all. Here's our cylinder head. They basically had this whole thing from here to here glove with gasket goop to try to get it to stop leaking. Obviously it didn't work, but I peeled most of it off the block already. All these valves look really good shape. Still a good shoulder on them. Don't look burnt or anything. It looks pretty normal. Just a little bit of carbon. So now we'll see if the now we'll see if that we can get that bolt out of there. Hopefully it comes out pretty easy. Well, that's lucky. That's what I was hoping for. I didn't want to have to weld a nut onto it and do all that fun stuff. So that's really lucky. It just made this job a lot easier. Okay, so cylinder heads are off. It had two different head gaskets on it. This was on the driver's side. It's a lot thicker. And way different. This was on the passenger side. Look how flimsy it is. So I think at one point somebody did one cylinder head gasket on it. Put it back together. You can see this one's pretty old. This one looks relatively new. It's no big deal now because we got two brand new ones that go on it. I'm going to clean these heads up. I also noticed on the passenger side it had brand new shiny spark plugs. On the driver's side it has new-ish spark plugs. So I don't know what's going on there. Why would you only replace 4? But whatever. Are they even the same? 65. What are these ones? They're the same, but I don't know. That's weird. Anyway, these need lots of cleaning. They're pretty greasy. So, there it is. Just basically lots of cleaning now. And then they can start reassembling it. Won't be long now before she's up and running again. Alrighty, I got the driver's side sitting in place, all cleaned up. Passenger side's ready to go on. These things are heavy. You can see I threw some paint on them, just silver paint. But I'm going to manhandle that passenger side head on there now. And I'll be right back with you. Alright, so the driver's side head is snug down. Haven't torqued anything yet. They're just, you know, snug. Still got to put the bolts on this side. So these ARP kits, they're nice bolts. Bolts. And you got your washer here that goes on the bolt, and then your assembly lube. So basically, put a bit on your threads, some on the washer, and you install it. Pretty easy. Also, make sure you put the chamfered side towards the bottom of the bolt head, not the other way around, because that just won't work. So keep that in mind if you buy these bolts. So our tightening sequence for this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to start at 60 pounds, and then I'm going to move up to 80, and then up to 100. And the factory torque setting for this is 110, but the bolt kit calls for 100 foot-pounds. So it's going to be a little time consuming, but here we go. Okay, so both heads are torqued down to 60 right now. I'm going to move this up to 80, do it again, and then up to 100. And then she should be good to go. Alright, heads are torqued down. Got the push rods and the rockers on. They're non-adjustable rockers, so you just tighten them down, you're good to go. Now it's time to get these exhaust manifolds lined up and bolted on. Enjoy. Alrighty, both exhaust manifolds are on, tightened down, new gaskets. I never had gaskets before on it when I took them off, so that should be an improvement. They're on, so now I just got we gotta do valve covers, intake, distributor, carburetor, shit like that. It won't be long now and we'll be able to fire her up. Alright guys, as you can see I kind of skipped ahead here, just because I wanted to get it done. I just gotta put the cap and wires on it, tighten a few things up, and then we should be ready to start her up. I've filled the rod with coolant. You can see it there. It's basically tighten up some things, put the plug wires on, and just check some little odds and ends, and we'll be ready to fire her up. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Alright guys, she's ready for a test fire. There's no choke cable. Just do that. See if it helps. See what she does. Uh-oh, bad battery connection. Okay, we should be back in business now. Might take a couple of minutes for the gas to get back up to the carburetor. There she goes. Why the alternator light's staying on now, but we'll figure that out. So as you can see, she does run now. I got her up to temperature, bled the air bubbles out of the cooling system. All that's fine, but as you saw, now the battery light stays on. So it's not charging all of a sudden, so I gotta figure that out. I don't know why, I haven't touched anything to do with that, but we'll have a look-see and see what we find. So, all the connections on this thing could use a good clean, and look at green as can be. I don't even know what that does, but here's the alternator. They're all crusty looking. So I think I'm going to clean all the connections and then try again, because this alternator did work before I did the head gaskets. And like I said, it didn't touch it, so I don't know why it would quit working unless it was on its own account. And there's some shit going on here. Whatever that was there, somebody had cut off. Down here on the alternator, there's a green wire that's just cut off and just sitting there. I don't know what that's about, but I will figure it out. Well guys, I think I'm going to have to end this episode off here. The run's awesome, but for some reason the charging system's not working now. No idea why. I'll have to figure it out. But I've gone through the wiring, everything. I cleaned up everything. Still doesn't work, so it's either this voltage regulator went or the alternator went or something. I don't know, but I'll figure it out. But there you go. This episode's got long enough, so I'll figure it end it here. So until next time, stay tuned. Sorry it takes me so long to make a video these days, but it's the way she goes.